the Springboks are finding themselves at the center of yet another major controversy. And this time it involves one of their most experienced and respected forwards. The rugby world is watching closely as Franco Mostert prepares for a critical disciplinary. Hearing that could have massive implications, not just for him personally, but for South Africa's entire campaign moving forward. But here's what's really got everyone talking. The Springboks aren't staying quiet about this one. They're openly questioning the consistency and application of red card decisions in international rugby. And their frustration is palpable. Let's set the scene here. Franco Mostert, a player who has been an absolute cornerstone of the Springboks pack for years, found himself on the wrong end of a red card decision that has sparked intense debate across the rugby community. This isn't just any player we're talking about. Mostert is someone who has consistently delivered for South Africa in the biggest matches. Someone who brings leadership, experience, and an incredible work rate to every single game he plays. Losing him for any extended period would be a devastating blow to the Springboks' plans. The incident itself has been analyzed from every possible angle, with slow-motion replays being dissected frame by frame on social media and rugby programs around the world. What makes this situation particularly contentious is that many observers, including current and former players, coaches, and analysts, are struggling to understand how the officials arrived at their decision. The Springboks coaching staff has made it clear that they believe there are serious questions to be answered about the refereeing standards and how disciplinary decisions are being made at the highest level of the game. South African Rugby has released statements expressing their deep concern about what they perceive as inconsistencies in how red cards are being issued and reviewed. They've pointed to several recent incidents in international rugby, where similar or even more severe actions resulted in yellow cards or no sanctions at all, while Mostert's case was immediately escalated to a red card. This perceived lack of consistency is what's really driving the Springboks' frustration, and they're not holding back in making their feelings known. The timing of this couldn't be worse for South Africa, with crucial fixtures on the horizon and the team in the middle of what many consider to be one of their most important seasons in recent memory. The potential loss of Mostert for multiple matches would force the coaching staff to completely rethink their strategies and selections. Mostert isn't just a starter. He's someone who can play multiple positions in the forward pack, giving the Springboks incredible flexibility in how they structure their game plan. His absence would create a domino effect throughout the entire squad. What's particularly interesting about the Springboks' response to this situation is how organized and deliberate it's been. This isn't just emotional venting or knee-jerk reactions. South African Rugby has clearly prepared a comprehensive case that they're presenting both to the disciplinary panel and to the court of public opinion. They've gathered evidence, consulted with experts, and built what they believe is a compelling argument that the red card decision was not just wrong, but symptomatic of broader problems with how the game is being officiated at the international level. The disciplinary hearing itself is shaping up to be one of the most closely watched rugby judicial proceedings in recent memory. Legal teams have been assembled, video analysts have been poring over footage, and rugby experts have been preparing testimony about tackle technique, player safety, and the laws of the game. The Springboks are approaching this with the seriousness of a major court case because they understand that the outcome could set important precedents for how similar incidents are judged in the future. But this story goes deeper than just one red card and one player. The Springboks are using this moment to raise fundamental questions about player welfare, officiating standards, and the future direction of rugby as a sport. They're arguing that if rugby is going to take player safety seriously, which everyone agrees it should, then the rules need to be applied consistently and fairly across all matches and all competitions. Cherry-picking which incidents deserve red cards and which don't, they argue, doesn't actually make the game safer. It just makes it more confusing and frustrating for everyone involved. The international rugby community has been divided in its response to the Springboks stance. Some former players and coaches have come out strongly in support of South Africa's position, arguing that they're absolutely right to call out inconsistencies in officiating. These supporters point to numerous examples from recent matches where similar actions resulted in vastly different outcomes, suggesting that there's a real problem with how decisions are being made and reviewed. On the other hand, there are those who believe that the Springboks are overreacting and that the officials made the correct call based on the laws as they're written. These critics argue that South Africa needs to accept the decision and move on rather than creating controversy and potentially undermining the authority of match officials. They contend that constantly questioning refereeing decisions sets a bad precedent and could lead to chaos if every team starts launching formal challenges to red cards they disagree with. What's undeniable is that this situation has reignited the ongoing debate about the role of technology and video review in rugby. The sport has introduced systems like the television match official and various review protocols. But incidents like the Mostert red card demonstrate that even with all this technology, controversies still arise. The Springboks are arguing that if we're going to use technology to make these crucial decisions, then we need to use it consistently and with clear, transparent criteria that everyone understands and accepts. The financial implications of this case are also significant. Top-level international rugby involves massive amounts of money, from broadcasting rights to sponsorship deals to ticket sales. When star players like Mostert are potentially ruled out of major fixtures due to red card suspensions, it affects the commercial value of those matches. While this shouldn't be the primary consideration when it comes to player safety, it's a reality that rugby administrators have to grapple with as they try to grow the sport globally. Franco Mostert himself has maintained a dignified silence throughout most of this controversy, allowing his representatives and the South African Rugby Union to speak on his behalf. Those close to him describe a player who is frustrated and confused by what happened, but who remains focused on preparing for whatever comes next. Mostert has built his reputation on being a hard-working, professional player who competes with integrity, and the idea that he would intentionally do something dangerous or against the spirit of the game is something that many find difficult to believe. The hearing will involve testimony from various witnesses, analysis of the video footage from multiple angles, and arguments about the technical aspects of the laws and how they should be applied in this specific situation. The panel will have to weigh all of this evidence and come to a decision that could range from completely overturning the red card to upholding it, and potentially adding additional match ban. The uncertainty surrounding the outcome is adding to the tension as everyone waits for the verdict. For Springboks fans, this is an agonizing wait. They know how important Mostert is to the team's success, and the thought of him being unavailable for crucial upcoming matches is difficult to accept. Social media has been flooded with messages of support for Mostert and criticism of what many South African supporters see as unfair treatment of their team. The sense of injustice is palpable among the fan base, who feel that their team is being held to different standards than other nations. Looking at the bigger picture, this controversy raises important questions about where rugby is heading as a sport. The game has been trying to balance the traditional physicality that makes it unique with modern concerns about player safety and welfare. Finding that balance is incredibly difficult, and incidents like this highlight just how challenging it is to create rules and officiating standards that satisfy everyone. The Springboks are essentially arguing that rugby hasn't yet figured out how to strike that balance properly, and that inconsistent application of the laws is creating more problems than it solves. As we await the outcome of the disciplinary hearing, one thing is certain: whatever decision is reached will be scrutinized intensely and will likely fuel further debate about these fundamental issues facing rugby. The Springboks have made it clear that they're not going to simply accept decisions they view as unfair without challenging them, and that could signal a more assertive approach from national teams going forward, when they feel their players have been treated unjustly. The Franco Mostert case might well be remembered as a turning point in how rugby deals with disciplinary matters and the contentious issue of red cards in the modern game.